This episode of the Esoteric Order of Roleplayers is brought to you by the generosity of our backers on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/esotericrp to find out how you can become a backer too. Remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to keep up with all the latest news, and join our Discord community to chat with players and fellow listeners. The Esoteric Order broadcasts from Santa Fe, New Mexico. We recognize these episodes are produced on the traditional territory of the Tewa-speaking Pueblo peoples, and we acknowledge their community, their ancestors, their elders both past and present, and future generations. The Esoteric Order of Roleplayers present The Great Game, a Castle Falkenstein campaign, with David Larkins as the host. Okay. While I'm doing that, does anybody want to catch us up last time on Castle Falkenstein, which was only a week ago, if you can believe that?
Jeez.
Oh my god, no, can't be.
It's true.
Yeah, time moves in a special way nowadays.
It does
True.
indeed.
I only remember
So-
the special end.
Yes,
The- like
who
the
can
ending.
cast their mind back to 15 day months ago?
Yeah, right.
Well, Astrid and Iskander last session went to visit Lamont at his physician's office / machinarium, and convinced him, even though he said he never gave it to anyone, to look for the plans for the photovoltaic cell mount gun thing. And he was like, fine, whatever. And he went and checked it, and it was gone. It was gone. And he had talked to Bernadette. She didn't leave a calling card or anything. And we got his card and said that we would meet up with him for tea and stuff and keep him apprised of what was going on. And then we went back to my apartment so that we could hang out, and also so Iskander could meet Potterfield. Very normal thing. So that's what happened to my character last time. And in real life, I just remember being very stressed out because Frederick was in a bad situation and I kept like yelling.
You kept swearing at the computer.
Yeah.
All right, yes. And indeed, that is where we left off. That was kind of our little button on the session was Frederick had won the Duel of Wits with our friend Dr. Voisin. Let's see here. Which one was he? He was the other one. The one who's not the police prefect. And
he was like
yes.
looking for a bathroom window to climb out because there were
He
guys
was.
following him.
Yes.
That's right. So, any other notes before we dive in? Anybody have anything they want to make note of, or new business, old business, etc., etc.?
No, I'm good. The last 45 minutes have seemed like a week.
Indeed. All right. So, so we had the thugs waiting outside for Frederick,
You never said
And
thugs.
we had the thuggish looking gentleman waiting outside. Um, and let's see, where was everybody else? What was everybody else's next move? I guess would be my main question.
So Astrid and Iskander were headed to her apartment, and we were going to meet up with almost everyone else except for Frederick, I think.
Because
Mhm.
Breksta
Or
gone
everyone
back
else.
to the ferry camp, I think, and then Grant was returning the paperwork to Senor Montequia, and yeah,
All right, very good. So yeah, let's just get back in with Frederick here, since you basically got Voisin to admit to his dastardly plan. What would you like to do?
Okay. So since I have him kind of at a disadvantage here, I'm going to look around his office. Is there like a pad of paper and a pen or some other writing implement, maybe a little notepad of some kind?
Oh, of course, doctor's office. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I'm going to go over and help myself to it.
Mm-hmm.
And write down an address on it on a sheet of paper and tear it off.
Hmm.
Turn to the doctor. Summon your men.
Mm. So he looks at the address and says, I'm not sure what you mean, Monsieur."
You're the man who answered the door. Your valet. I'm not
Of
sure.
course, yes. So he calls for Beddoes, and and his valet appears.
Go to this address. So I'll hand the paper to the valet. Go to this address and seek out the 4 people there and have them come here as soon as possible.
All right. At once, sir. So, yes, what's his name? Auguste says, what are your plans for me, sir? You are not, I hope, going to tell my brother what I have revealed to you.
I look at him. I should tell everyone. But unfortunately, there are more pressing matters right now. And so we find ourselves on the same side. And with that, I'll kind of peek out the curtains to the front area and see if I can spot those 2 gentlemen.
Yep, they are still standing outside, indolently smoking.
Okay, so I'll let the curtain slide. I'll turn back to the doctor. There's 2 men out there. Do you see them?
He moves over and looks out. Oh, yes.
Are they yours?
No, I've never seen those men before.
Good. I want you to go outside and tell them that you need help. That a man who has come to visit you is passed out in your parlor, and they need to send someone quickly.
Okay. Very well. So he departs, and assume you watch from the window as he heads out onto the street, crosses the street, talks to the men for a brief moment. They look a little alarmed, and they look up towards the office, but then begin running across the street.
Towards the office?
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. So, is there anywhere to hide in the parlor?
Oh, naturally, yes. I mean, any number of places. Large furniture, curtains. A fern hanging in a macrame sling.
Okay. All right. So, I will draw my sword and hide behind the largest piece of furniture that I can find.
Okay. So you hear the door downstairs burst open. You hear them clomping up the stairs. They come running in. They're looking around. Where is he? And so one of them shouts, I'll go look elsewhere. And he runs off down the hall.
Okay. So is the doctor in here with me?
The doctor has been left in their dust. So what he's up to, you do not know.
Okay.
They came running in as soon as he told them that you had passed out.
All right. So I'm going to, when the other one leaves, come up behind the first one and put my sword to his neck.
Ooh. All right. So he feels the blade against his neck and he immediately puts his hands up.
Close the door.
Okay.
And so keeping the blade kind of right at his like Adam's apple, I'll lead him over to the chair. Sit down.
He sits.
Who are you and your friend, and what do they want with me? What do you want with me?
So he's keeping his hands up, but he's looking to the door, and he says, "Sir, I assure you, we wanted to do no harm to you whatsoever. We just came with a message."
And that message?
So at that point, you hear behind you, the latch on the door turning, and the other guy is like, Pierre, what is going on in there?
Tell him nothing.
Nothing. And he looks back at you and he says, "Look, we were paid money to come." Oh, look at Kenny, he's back. We were paid money to come and deliver a message to you, and perhaps we were told that we should reinforce that message with our fists, but I'm happy to just convey the message to you verbally. We don't need to escalate to violence by any means.
All right, tell me this message quickly, and I'll apply a little bit of pressure to the sword tip.
Just stop looking into the brownies' murder. That's all.
And who hired you to send this message?
I don't know who she is. It was a tall blonde woman.
Do I know anything about this Bernadette? Like, I can't remember how much of that information I...
Not sure if you're party to any of it, actually.
I mean, I did ask them if they had spotted her, and then I described her, and they recognized that they saw her leaving the margarine factory when they went there.
That's true.
But
yes.
Beyond being told that she is a lying Prussian with perfect hair, they have not been told anything.
Although I think that you guys told us that she was at what's his name's office and stole Iskander's plans as well.
Yeah, we did discuss that she's a thieving, lying Prussian.
Oh, okay.
With perfect hair.
Did Grant and Frederick see? Were we the ones who saw her leaving the margarine factory?
Yes.
Okay, so I asked this guy, describe her to me. Leave no detail undescribed.
Leave no detail unturned. Yeah. Yeah. Undescriblich. He does so.
Any mention of a monocle, perhaps? I remember that was something that stood out.
No mention of a monocle.
Then clearly it's not her.
he says she was dressed in simple, like kind of middle-class garb. Very plain in her aspect.
Did she give you a name?
No, sir. She just paid us cash, and he reaches into a small, front pocket of his waistcoat and withdraws some like crumpled up banknotes.
Okay. Keep the money. If she comes to you again, tell her you delivered the message. And I'll tell your associate out there to leave through the front door.
Of course. Thank you, sir. We are in your debt.
Okay. So once, if they do go through with that, I'll, carefully, sword raised. Keep going.
Keep walking.
And then, and then make myself a stiff drink while I wait for my friends to arrive. It's like hands shaking.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Cool. All right. So yes, Breksta, you were heading back to the encampment, correct?
Sort of. I was trying to figure out if perhaps before we had all split ways, if we had discussed meeting back up, since I think we determined that Astrid's apartment is between the encampment, the margarine factory, and also in the neighborhood of Monsieur Lamont.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's reasonable.
I kind of feel like, especially if there's going to be some sort of a confrontation, because the encampment just has so many people there, it'd probably be more prudent to have numbers, even if it's just to have distraction. So I think that I would probably go and opt to meet up with everybody, relay what I've found, and then discuss confronting Danielle.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. And I think that just leaves Grant. What's Grant doing?
Oh, man. The last I recall, I was with Haas's stooges, just chilling in my apartment. I'm pretty sure that's kind of where I left.
Unpaid interns.
That's right.
The interns.
Hadn't they finished the copy and then you were heading... I don't remember if you got back to the factory or if you were heading that way. I think you had, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, to re-deliver the papers to Monsieur Hug.
Of course. Yes.
Yeah. I need to get those back to him for sure.
And you had your little encounter down at the bar as well.
Oh, yes. In the or did I?
Or did you? You had a drink at the hotel bar. That's all we know. All right, great. So it sounds like everybody is converging on Astrid's apartment, and so it goes. Grant, you drop off the papers with Hug, who is quite happy to have them back, obviously, and makes an appointment with you to meet over luncheon in a couple days.
Yeah, we had briefly discussed if I was actually going to put some money into him.
That's right.
Which I was apt to do.
Mm-hmm. So this being a Sunday and all, there's not much business to be transacted. So he's all good to go for luncheon tomorrow, Monday, to discuss business and perhaps head on down to the bank. Draw some cash, cut a check, etc.
All that.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, Breksta, you arrive at Astrid's apartment as well. So it's like Seinfeld, Castle Falkenstein style, just like one person after another, buzzing to be let up, making a comedic entrance.
Yeah, stand up, slap face. So.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so presently the four of you are gathered in Astrid's laboratory/apartment.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've all been here. So there's the kitchen, there's some tea. I can have Potterfield put on some water if you want some, and yeah, make yourself comfortable.
So how does Potterfield appear? Like, I mean, is there like a long coat and hat kind of situation, or what's going on?
I don't think Potterfield would wear their hat inside.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there would definitely be very apparent, like, piecemeal sort of patchwork thing going on there for sure.
Mm-hmm. So the rest of you are getting an opportunity to meet this mysterious Potterfield for the first time.
Yeah, what exactly? Could you describe Potterfield, please?
Sure. Potterfield, I mean, very literally, although the seams are much better now, is parted together, and not in ways that necessarily always make sense. Like, it's not just like a random non-matching limb or whatever. Like, part of their kind of chimeraed out face-wise, so they have like some like different skin tones, different eyes. There's like obvious places where like different parts of skull have been put together. They walk with a limp because their limbs don't match up, but yeah, otherwise they seem friendly enough.
Considering my recent midweek taster, I'm definitely off put by the. I'm not to the who sent you levels quite yet, but I'm definitely like, this thing is foul, and I am. It churns my stomach just looking at you, Potterfield. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, I'm pretty perceptive. I would see that people are not comfortable, but like, don't worry too much. It's not really Potterfield's fault. I mean, someone did this to them and they ended up with me. So I'm keeping them safe, but they're very nice.
So you're not responsible for this?
Oh no, I wish I knew how to do all this stuff, but no. I was just cutting up corpses to learn more about medicine.
Okay, fair.
Like you do.
Yeah.
It's a age-old practice.
It's so cheerful.
I think that
Personally, I can vouch for taking something apart and putting it back together to determine its inner workings. This all makes sense.
And that was exactly my thought. If this is how I learn about how machines work, then obviously I can do the same thing with people. I haven't been able to extrapolate it correctly to animals yet. I tried drawing a skeleton diagram from what I've learned of human skeletons, and then I put Katsubu's head on it, and it did not look right. So I think I have to do more research before I can effectively heal him.
I think up until you mentioned all of that, I probably would have been fine with Potterfield. I imagine I thought that Potterfield probably is maybe Fae in origin, but not particularly skilled. Like, maybe this is its first time manifesting and just like didn't quite get it right. But if you mention that someone else, did this to them, I think I'll kind of like sidle over and sort of like peer a little more curiously. Like, I'm intrigued by the thought of it being, thought of them being a creation rather than like self-created, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'll try to be subtle about it, but I'm definitely peeking at how it's all put together.
You know, for Iskander's part, was at first taken aback, but as soon as Astrid explained, kind of like he remarked, it all made sense. Like, oh, of course, yes, why wouldn't you do that? All right. It starts to think, I think maybe, okay.
I think in that context, my tinkering is poor, so it's probably it's way over my head, and I'm like, this is probably something that ought not be done a second time.
Surely you can see the parallels between this and alchemy, the deconstruction and reconstruction of constituent parts. Is there not a parallel there?
Well, I'd say there was, but my gun ain't walking around buying groceries and whatnot.
Was there
Says
not
the
a
man.
safe of butter talking not a moment ago?
That was a freak accident, sir, and
You just need more practice, is what you're saying.
I'm like, that's a freak accident, sir. And I look at Potterfield. I'm like, beg your pardon. I don't want to insinuate that you too are a freak accident, sir, madam, Potterfield. But yeah, that was a hopefully once in a lifetime mistake that I did not I did not intend to create nor replicate.
I
I
didn't
pray
ask for
to the
this.
merciful Creator that it will never happen again.
If
Oh,
there
man.
is any goodness in this universe.
Yeah, definitely did not ask for this. Yeah.
Iskander's just full on Dwight Schrute, like, I don't believe you. Continue.
All right. So as you're having this metaphysical debate about Potterfield, yet again, someone enters the building and appears knocking Astrid at your apartment chamber door.
Now, in these exciting Falkensteinian apartments, is there any way, is there like a peephole or anything like that?
What I'm kind of picturing is that since this is sort of like a converted like loft area of an office building, it's actually was not designed as a residential dwelling. So probably there's like a transom and like a frosted glass, door, right?
What sort of silhouette do I see in the door?
It is probably a masculine silhouette, tall, thin, very good posture.
Shall I answer the door for you, Astrid?
Oh, yeah, hold on. There's someone at the door. Of course I would answer it. It's me, Astrid. I'm always answering doors. So, yeah, I'll just go open it. Like, hello.
Just open it all the way, not like a crack or anything.
Exactly. All right, so you see standing before you a man dressed in valet's clothes, and he gives you a little bow, and then says, "I was told to deliver this card to you, or to the resident of this building." And he holds out, or not card rather, but a slip of paper, and he holds out a slip of paper.
All right, so I take it and I rummage around in my dress pockets to provide a tip because he's not a brownie. And I read the slip of paper contents.
And Frederick just wrote, "Come to this address," or what have you.
Yeah, it was very brief. But yeah, I had the address on there.
Did you sign it?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, it looks like Frederick needs us to go somewhere. Is everyone ready to travel? It's not far.
Yeah, I'm ready to go right now. Let's go. As I start moving away from Potterfield.
I've never been more ready.
Yeah, I'm ready to go right now. Look, in fact, I'm ahead of you. I'm way ahead of you.
Is Potterfield ready?
Already. Yeah, I was going to say, come Potterfield. Perhaps you can be of some assistance. We'll all take the same carriage. You can have the seat next to Mr. Grant.
Right, yeah.
Mr. Morgan.
Yeah, no, I think I definitely, if there's instructions from one of my friends that says to go somewhere, I'm going to do it. So I'm good to go.
Might I examine this message from Herr Haas?
Of course.
Thank you. I'd like to take it and look at it to see if I can ascertain his, if it was written in his own hand, not handwriting analysis or whatever, just if it looks like it was written all fancy by someone, dictated, you know what I mean, written by someone else, or if it's written somewhat shakily with like ink blotches from, splattering. Get a sense of the emotion behind the
Does it
writing.
look like it was written while also holding a sword? So
Yeah.
Okay, Sherlock. As you can see here, Watson, the distinctive pressure of the pen on the paper indicates that the subject was holding a sword in his other hand.
Right. No, I just mean, does it look like it was written hastily and perhaps shakily with
Probably,
notches or
unless
similar?
I would say normally, unless Alex, you feel like Frederick is the type who has impeccable penmanship at all times.
No. It was it definitely looks like it was hastily. The penmanship is very good, but there are ink splotches. Certain a T wasn't crossed, properly.
Mhm.
It was kind of very hastily done. So it does look like it was done quickly and a little haphazardly.
Okay.
Just logically, it would seem that a gentleman of Herr Haas's station would spend a great deal of time composing memos and similar. This does not reflect such skill. I deduce from this that he is perhaps agitated, maybe even under duress. We should make all haste to his assistance.
I say from the hallway, "Yep, let's go."
You just hear like horse hooves, ka-clop, ka-clop, ka-clop.
Yeah, where do you get that horse from?
Potterfield calls out "You forgot your hat, Mr. Gray."
I'm like, you know what? It's all yours. It's a.
All right. So off you go. You're on your way. So y'all hop aboard a horse-drawn omnibus for your cross-city journey. It's fairly crowded with passengers, as these things tend to be. And Breksta, as you are, seated on one of the bench seats, you feel a little tugging at the back of your collar, and then alighting on your shoulder is a tiny little pixie.
Hello, my dear.
All right, so it says,
I have a response to your letter to Lord Oberon.
Excellent, thank you.
and so it produces from this little case a tiny little letter and hands it to you, and then flutters off.
And I'm imagining, because I'm small, but it's at least not as comically small as if Iskander was trying to
Oh yeah,
open this.
that would be ridiculous. Yeah, that would be like.
But yeah, was this dictated but not read onto a leaf or something?
Exactly. I was gonna say it's definitely on a leaf.
Written in glitter.
Exactly. You have to kind of shake the glitter off. All right.
Well, everything pixie, just
Yeah. Oh
glitter.
yeah. Glitter everywhere. Mm-hmm. Glitter bombs.
Mm.
So yeah, it's an odd sort of little cryptic message, of course, and it just says remember the Teus are not all like the brownies.
Can you spell that for me?
That is Teuz. And as a fairy yourself, you would know what a Teus is.
Mm-hmm.
It is a form of brownie from Brittany.
From Brittany, you say?
From Brittany. As with all brownies, they perform great works. However, they are also known for their superior knack for shape-shifting.
Oh. So, I feel like this must be conveying, first off, the true nature of Danielle herself, not being a typical brownie. But I'm curious, considering my own recent questionable plans to use shape-shifting to do things. I'm wondering, I don't know, what possible manifestations she might have been using recently to, I don't know, sneak about or do something. Apart from, I don't know, as a fairy, I'm loath to do something as crass as like exposing her to iron to like cause, say, a shapeshift to falter. But especially for brownies, are there other things that they're especially averse to that I could potentially use to our advantage?
Let's see here if they have any weaknesses other than iron. Let's see. They just have your typical brownie, things of like not wanting to be paid and working at night and that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Well, I'll share my letter and revelations with my companions, and I suppose take the ride as an opportunity to describe the painting that I found in the Louvre, which, down to the very last detail, depict Danielle and Michelle up on the stage, much as the day of the protest.
And the Danielle figure holding some kind of mirror or other reflective item as well.
Not to mention the fact that the painter, Dodd, is from Brittany, if I remember correctly, as is the Teus themselves.
Time is a flat circle.
Well, if
These
that
events
painting
have happened before.
really shows what happened, then certainly a mirror could have been used to trigger the light-sensitive cell on a weapon.
How old is this painting at this point?
It was like 20 or 30 years old, right?
Yeah, 18, about 10 years old. About 10 years old.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. How could this Dodd character know exactly what was going to happen?
Well, he is known for being mad, as brilliant as he is mad. Although, I don't know, it's possible if these are the Teus and they are shapeshifters that the true identities of Danielle and her companions might not be what they seem. It could be that they saw the painting and took it as inspiration for their own imagery.
Interesting. It's a good theory.
Unless, I don't know, someone truly masterful has manipulated the painting after the fact. Although I don't suspect that is true.
Well, I mean, we don't. So you're saying there's some shape-shifting types who are real good at it.
Well, to some degree, all fairies are capable of shape-shifting, but truly some are more practiced at it or have a better knack for it than others, are able to assume a more convincing visage with lower effort and for a longer period of time.
Do you think one of these fairies might be shape-shifting into somebody of importance around here? Do you think Mr. Hoog is a shapeshifter, for example?
I don't think that I've met Mr. Hoog, so I don't know that I could speak to that. But it's possible that perhaps someone within the police, Paris government, is being manipulated, or it could be that, again, the true identities of our rebellious Fae protesters is not exactly what it seems.
Would these other brownies have any interest in causing an issue with with the pact. Trying to cause unrest and do all sorts of things. I don't know why anyone would want to do that.
Well, and in particular, brownies are not known for being allied with the unseelie. They are themselves very domestic and typically very amenable to our relationship with mankind. I don't believe that it would be for the purposes of causing mass violence, no. But that being said, I don't know what would possess a fairy to cause the complete destruction of another's soul. That does not make sense to me.
Does shapeshifting go only one way, I wonder? Like, could one of these fairies who are very good at shapeshifting, could they force it upon another?
That would be not shapeshifting, but casting a glamour. That is certainly more challenging, and I don't believe it's typical of the brownies. That being said, I imagine anyone who studied hard enough for long enough could potentially cast a glamour that convincing.
I understand. Man, this mystery is hurting my brain. We got clues and suspects every which way. It's hard for me to keep my hat straight.
All right. With that, the omnibus pulls up outside or pulls up the nearest corner to where the indicated address is. You all debark and make your way up to the street number, and thence up to this office where Frederick is waiting for you.
Is there a sign out or anything like, spooky, like eye and like, mesmers for cheap or whatever? Like, or...
I think I did say that it just says, Dr. Auguste Voisin,
okay.
Phrenologist and specialist or something to that effect,
Okay. Like, well, this looks like the place. When we get in, is the valet back already, all sweating and stuff? For
he's got his hands on his knees,
He was doing parkour across Paris to get ahead of you.
So he can accept us into the office.
I'm imagining him on the same omnibus, but kind of trying to ignore us the whole time, and then hustling to get off right before us so he can let us in.
This is awkward.
He gets to the door right before you, then opens it, and then turns around, steps inside, closes it, and then opens it again. Hello.
Yeah, he's a good worker. Those are hard to find.
He takes his job seriously. All right, so the valet sees you in, and up to the parlor where Frederick is waiting.
Oh, welcome. Thank you for coming.
Iskander would burst in the door because he was quite alarmed based on the state of the penmanship. So you would feel as though you were in dire need of assistance. So he would probably smash it open and Kramer style, just bust in the room. What's going on, buddy? Are you okay?
If I get that kind of body language from Iskander, my gun is cocked. It's not out of the holster, but I'm ready.
So when I burst in on you and
hello.
you're just fine, it's a little disconcerting.
Yeah,
looking around for maybe
brandy and a cigar.
Right, just taking your ease. They're everything's cool.
Right.
And looking around behind the curtains and whatnot for who's holding a secret gun on you or something like that.
Well, I'm imagining
the message seemed quite urgent.
I'm imagining that Voisin, right, is now a guest in his own office.
Actually, Voisin has not returned after Frederick sent him out on the street.
Ooh. Well, you have a new office, Frederick.
Ooh.
Is there a bar?
This is my office now.
It sure is. Help
By
us
rights
out.
of mental
Oh
conquest.
yeah. If
By rights
Steal
of
your
salvage.
office, I found it.
yeah, definitely
New
like
lair.
I put the hammer down on my gun and then I go over to where Haas is standing and I get a drink.
Mhm.
I say, well, good to see you, Haas. You doing all right?
Likewise. I apologize for sending the note and being vague about it. I was afraid that things would have gone worse than they did. It actually ended up quite well, but I'll tell you all about it. Please. Please, I bring out, some drinks or, just kind of offer the seats and then proceed to explain everything that went down. The two people following me, the meeting with Ozan, the sort of little mental duel, the revelations that he indeed was responsible for mesmerizing the entirety of or a lot of the Paris Police Department, as well as the prefect. And finally, the revelation that those men were hired by a blonde woman, whom I will describe in as much detail as they provided, although unfortunately wasn't able to get a name. And I think that's everything. Oh, and that Ozan fled and did not return.
I think we ought to put our heads together and lay out all these clues and figure out if they've got any relation to one another and try to figure this damn thing out before my head hurts anymore.
Would I recognize the description that Haas gives as being Bernadette in one of her guises, like when she takes off her monocle to look like normal, like it's her Clark Kent moment or whatever?
I love the idea that a
Reverse Clark Kent.
monocle. Yeah, the monocle could disguise somebody's identity.
All right.
Or taking it off. Where did Bernadette go?
Although,
Who's this nerd?
Oh my god. Astrid, you know this Miss Fink von Finkenstein quite well, and you say that she is known to leave a calling card at each of her spots, I suppose, where
Well,
she
it
has
is
been making mischief.
typical of her, although to be fair, she was described by Lamont but did not leave a calling card there. So
But perhaps it was only her visage who went to Lamott's and not Miss Finkenstein herself.
that
I
would make
wonder
more sense.
if her image was borrowed, per se. The one who borrowed her may not know to have left a calling card behind.
Couldn't really blame the choice, really. I mean, have you seen her hair? Jeez. But yes, that would definitely make more sense. So doing things that are out of character, not relishing in the thievery and whatnot. I
So
suppose that's very possible.
Where was this woman seen? What was she doing?
She hired the two men who were pursuing me to deliver a message that we should stop investigating the Faye incident with the brownies. And the message was to be delivered with some good old-fashioned it's a good old-fashioned beatdown. And so apparently whoever it was quite adamant about that.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Haas, was this the woman that we saw leaving Monsieur Hugues' margarine factory?
I assumed it might have been, but the description they gave was insufficient. I didn't see her myself, but it could easily have been.
And it also, if, say, someone had shapeshifted into her image to visit Lamont, stealing the photovoltaic rifle plans without leaving a calling card, it could have been a sloppy impersonation that had hired the goons instead.
Yes, I mean, that's very true, especially looking so plain as they describe this figure. I think that makes much more sense unless she's getting really into the dirt with this one.
So are we saying that she's our prime suspect here in controlling and manipulating this brownie assassination?
I think it might be more likely that if she is very, shall we say, infamous in some ways, not terribly conspicuous, she might be the perfect scapegoat for someone who wants to avert attention from their own identity.
So you're thinking there may be some power behind the throne, so to speak.
Or simply that it could be one of the protesters, say Eteyus, practiced shapeshifter, saw her leaving the margarine factory, took a liking to her image and used it.
But we still don't have a motive. I mean, can we all put our heads together and think who? I mean, if you were going to come to me with this kind of information, I'd just tell you, follow the money. Who stands to profit from killing off a brownie at a margarine factory that ain't going to make margarine in a few weeks?
Who stands to profit from war?
War between the fairies and the humans, nonetheless.
Between the French and the Prussians.
And the French and the Prussians.
Perhaps selling arms to both sides. I must retrieve my plans.
Well, I mean, don't forget the scrap of Lamont's design was found in the brownie camp, and I think Breksta had the right of it. We should go ask some more questions.
I think perhaps if we attempted to infiltrate the camp, saying that we were supporters and perhaps trying to, gain access either to the whisperings therein or perhaps some other letters or manifestos even, it might prove fruitful.
Well, that may be on you, Breksta, as I've kind of seated myself firmly with Monsieur Hoog. I don't want him getting wind that I'm visiting the fairy camp that is causing him so much trouble.
Is there a way to detect if a person is shapeshifted, some manner to know for certain?
Not really, no. There's no
And I know this is distasteful, and I apologize, Breksta, but what if we were to utilize cold iron and place it upon the individual?
I will say, cold iron is, and I'm sure she goes a bit pale at this, quite extreme. You have to understand there are many materials, many experiences that we find unpleasant enough without having to be quite so unpleasant. You understand the damage from cold iron is permanent, unlike most others. But the rest are still, I assure you, quite undesirable.
Again, I apologize. I did not mean to step out. I was thinking of perhaps something we could just keep within proximity and know if to gauge the person's reaction. If it was this Bernadette, and we were to approach her with something like that, would she react if she were not actually Bernadette?
Well, certainly if she were uncomfortable enough and were shape-shifting, it could disrupt her focus and cause her manifestation to falter. It is truly challenging to maintain one's composure and comportment in the presence of such substances.
Also, I assume the shapeshift is superficial. I could always try asking her a question only she would know the answer to.
That certainly does work. To be fair, we can only copy what we've seen, so I imagine she would be appearing in probably the same set of clothes day after day, if that might be unusual for her. Any birthmarks or other markings that might be hidden by clothes would not be there underneath, as those things are simply beyond our imaginations.
Well, so what do we think is the next move here? I feel like we don't have a whole lot of information to, pull the axe down on anybody. But certainly there are things happening, and there's gears rotating and plans moving and what have you. I think something needs to get done. I'm just sure not the hell what.
Well, I know you kind of are a man on the inside with Hoog. If you didn't want to go to the camp, you could hang out with Potterfield while we visit, and then we can hop right over and tell you what we found.
You know.
Or perhaps, Grant, if you are keen on continuing appearances for the sake of Monsieur Hoog, was this Bernadette not one of his acquaintances? Perhaps he would be able to introduce you, and you might be able to investigate her a little more closely then.
That's a great idea. Yeah, I like that idea.
You have a plan. A cunning plan.
A three-parter.
Plan so cunning you could brush your teeth with it.
Yeah, for real. So we've established that we have, right now, I believe we have 5 clues, unless we're overlooking or forgetting something. We have Iskander's gun plans were stolen for the minigun, of which Bernadette, a woman described closely matching Bernadette, was there. Lamott's solar trigger plans were stolen, and he's the gunsmith. And we found Bernadette's card there. And Hoog had stopped making margarine and started making guns as he was contracted through the Prussians via Bernadette. Mm-hmm. And Haas and I saw Bernadette leaving the margarine factory at some point.
Excellent.
Yeah. So we got to go where the first part is where a few of us we're going to split the party, of course.
Of course.
And some of us are going to go to the ferry camp to tie up some loose ends and figure out what's going on over there, because we suspect some shape-shifting tomfoolery, while me and potentially Mr. Haas will go talk to Hoog and try to arrange a meeting with Bernadette and see what goes on there. And then I think Iskander may get to work on creating some kind of device.
I mean, yeah, if we think it's necessary, worthwhile enough, because there are other options fielded, like the interrogation Astrid style and interrogation Frederick style. So
yeah,
it's two different.
I think Iskander's goggle device may be like if we are really running into a brick wall.
Maybe that's something he can start working on, because I don't know exactly how inventions work with time or whatever.
No idea.
Yeah.
Time is definitely a component. Like the example that they give, something would take 15 weeks if you wanted to make a fabulous flying belt. Ornithopter spring out of your
I think that a lot of those things end up being kind of like winter phasey sort of events.
Yeah.
The twixt mystery ones.
Yeah. It takes me 5 minutes to cast a spell sometimes.
That does make me want to play Inspector Gadget, or the other character I was thinking about when like Alex's stuff had me so stressed last time was like, I want to be like a stage magician mesmer person. That would be cool too.
Absolutely. All right, so let's see here. So let's do the camp, the protest camp first, shall we? So who all's going to that? Iskander. All right.
Grant, did you want anyone with you to talk to Hoog, or do you want to solo it?
Whoever wants to come talk to Hoog with me is more than welcome. Maybe not Breksta, because I know Hoog doesn't like fairies and fairies don't like Hoog. So, but yeah, I think anybody else, it might actually be worthwhile to have somebody who is a tinkerer come with me, because this
I was
fool
thinking
likes
I
technology.
might go with you because he's seen me before. He knows I'm in the area, and I'm associated with you and Frederick as like someone who runs messages at the very least.
Totally. And I might even be like, this is my what do you call that when you like consult somebody? This is my consultant on all matters technological, because that stuff goes above and beyond this old head and blah blah blah.
So what are we trying to get out of Hoog during this?
Info on Bernadette or a meeting with Bernadette?
Yeah, ideally a meeting with Bernadette, because I want to talk to her and just kind of see what she's up to, and be like, kind of like, hey, you get around town and I hear your name a lot and this and that.
Would it be worthwhile to bring the documents that we, well, not we, but the interns painstakingly copied with us, just in case we need to use them as a leverage?
Maybe not bring them with us, because I would hate for them to like slip out of my pocket while Hoog is there. But
because he already returned the originals at this point.
I did return the originals. Can I get just a quick synopsis of what was all in those documents one more time?
Of course. What would be the easiest way? Let's see here.
He's like, of course, go back and listen to it, you lazy bitch.
Yeah,
For real.
I can wait.
Yeah.
I can wait. All right. Let's see here. I know it was in here somewhere. Okay, so yeah, it was a deed to the factory, and then it was various rejected loan applications from banks around Paris, and correspondence with the Winchester Repeating Arms Company, promising that they would license out their design for him to use once he's got his factory up and running, and an insurance policy for the property, which would fetch a tidy sum if cashed in, and and then of course the promissory note from Bernadette, discussing possible plans for arms manufacturing of a mini Gatling gun, and letter of interest from the Prussian government, essentially. So all pretty juicy stuff.
Now that insurance policy, if he got brownies to protest and then say burn his factory down after making all these public demonstrations and then got to cash that in, that's kind of motivation. Just some food for thought.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Because it's like, he's not even making margarine anymore or interested in it. It's a win-win for him. Either he's going to make a bunch of money selling guns to the Prussian government, or he's going to make a bunch of money with his burned down ass factory. So Hoog is definitely, I don't want to say he's playing both sides, but he's definitely prepared for either one to win.
Yeah, he's hedging his bets a little bit.
I'm getting crazy adrenaline right now.
Why do my kidneys hurt?
I know, we've cracked this case wide open. I thought Hoog was a pawn, but it sounds to me like he's running the ship now. I don't know.
Well, we'll find out.
I'm gonna put this dude's head in the ground. Somebody better come with me to restrain me.
I have physique. It's fine.
There you go.
I was gonna say, Astrid will hold you back.
Yeah, I am an old man, so I don't think you'll have a problem.
I think
got old
Frederick will
man
probably go
strength
to the factory as well.
Okay, so we got Frederick, Astrid, and Grant going to the factory, And so that's Breksta and Iskander going to the camp. Correct?
Sounds right.
All right.
And
All right.
Like,
So
what
Sabu
mischief will
meet
we
you.
get into
Yeah.
there?
yes, indeed. So actually, I'm going to flip it, and let's do the factory first. So we have our trio. Now, is this later on Sunday that you're heading over, or are you waiting until Monday?
I would
I'll do
say if he's not interested in doing business on Sunday, we might as well wait.
Because you had a lunch meeting with him already for tomorrow.
True.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
could roll mad deep on that too.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I could chill for the rest of the day, honestly, while they do ferry business stuff, because I don't want to
Okay.
be I don't want to be seen in the ferry camp.
That works.
Gonna
All
go
right.
try to hide from maybe zombies.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is
Okay.
just
If you're taking the day off, I can go to the camp then.
I'll take the day off, but I'm kind of want to just mosey around Paris, and I'm not really looking for anything in particular, but I got my eye out, So
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you hear any
David, if any-
stories about weird walking corpses, do not listen to them.
I will not engage.
It's propaganda.
Yeah, if there's any kind of rat folk ambushers on the way, let me know.
Will
If you
do.
find any warpstone deposits on the way, you will.
Yes.
Don't tempt me to find some warpstone in Castle Falkenstein. I will do it.
Crossover. All right, so in that case, fine. We'll do the ferry camp first, and Astrid's going to tag along.
It occurs to me, just real quick, that if it was apparent at all to Iskander that his plans, like that's his number one priority, is retrieving his plans and destroying them so they don't fall into the wrong hands. So if the dividing was like, we're going to go here, we're going to go there, and it was party knowledge that it's like those were in the safe papers, not the plans themselves, but the like mention of them, you would probably want to go there rather than the camp, just as a bit of a retcon thing. But
All right.
sounds like we're going to the camp first and then the things, so we can do both.
Yeah,
Yes.
that actually sounds like it works out nicely that we can kind of tackle that chronologically.
Yep, that works.
You can have it all.
That's right. On the off-world colonies. Okay, so very good. So you return to the camp. It is late Sunday afternoon at this point. You've had a very busy day. And in fact, it's getting on towards supper time as you walk towards this, somewhat derelict warehouse and vacant lot that's been taken over and turned into a gathering point, a marshalling point. That's what I'm looking for these protesters. There are just as many people here as when Breksta visited. Katsubu also has turned up and is trotting alongside Frederick. And there's actually perhaps even more people here because word of that assassination has gotten around, and it is really getting people sort of motivated, like, oh man, like blood has been shed, what the hell, this is serious business. It's kind of escalating the tension, but it's also attracting more people. So there's members of the anarchist commune handing out leaflets. There are other like underground publishers handing out papers like the Women's Union, and other sort of like, sort of radical political screeds of that nature. And there's just any number of hired muscle, let's just say, in the vicinity providing security. And so as you approach, again, you are intercepted by this time about half a dozen of these guys, since there's like 4 of you. And they all form this wall of flesh in front of you and are crossing their arms across their chests. And one of them says, what do you all want?
I am quite distinctive looking, and also I'd like to think distinctively on the side of the Granny sympathizers.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible that any of them recognize me from the last time I was here, when they let me in?
Let's see here. Yes, in fact, one of them was around when you were last here. So, first like, what do you want? Then he spots your little small frame amongst the, human-sized people. And, oh, it's you. Madame Bandi left specific instructions that she does not wish to meet with you again.
Ooh, that's exciting in my head. Well, I'm so sorry to hear that. I hope that our discussion of her friend's death did not upset her so terribly, but I imagine it is a difficult time for her in particular, as it is for all of us. My friends have heard of the plight of the protesters here, and I thought I would bring them to, I suppose, bear witness and offer their solidarity to the work that is being done here for equality.
So they kind of, look at each other. Now let's see here. I'm
sure I'm manipulating my image slightly, so like the eyes are a little bigger. Maybe I look a little smaller, glowing a little more.
Right.
That cherubic innocence.
Right. So yeah, this will be a little bit of a dramatic feat. So it kind of depends on like how you want to approach it. I mean, if you do want to use glamour, you could certainly do that, or you could use something like charisma.
I do have great charisma, so I think that would be the angle that I would try and go. I mean, clearly, my friend the diplomat is here. He's very interested in your cause, and probably just doing my best to kind of rattle on in my intoxicating little voice.
All right, so let's oppose that charisma. Let's see. They would kind of be just following orders. All right, so we'll just say that falls under courage for them. And what do they have in the way of courage? I think it's probably, it's just average. Okay, so with your great charisma against their average courage, you're already at a full success. This is a cups-related activity. Is there anything I can play to make it more interesting? Do I have... Oh, I do have cups. Oh, I have cups. All right. I'm going to play a 9 of cups. So that boosts their courage up to a 13. And you're currently at an 8.
All right. I'm going to play this to see what I can get.
Ooh. The Wheel of Fortune, eh? All right. Along with dumping your hand.
Well, I think that I have to dump my hand because I thought Wheel of Fortune gives me a fresh hand.
Oh, does it? Yes. Okay. That's right.
I think it's, I get a fresh hand, but I have to use it to resolve my feat.
Draw 6
because I got it
new
last time.
Okay. Oh, I'm looking at the Major Arcana. That's why. I'm like, wait a minute. Wait, was I looking? Wheel of Fortune. There are occasions where luck is more valuable than mere skill. The player discards their hand and draws 6 new cards. They must keep 4 of the cards drawn and return the other 2 to the fortune deck. So you don't have to play the cards you draw. But you get 6 cards to choose from, and then you can go from there. So let's get that in there, and then I will deal 6 to you.
Okay.
And there you go.
And if I get multiple Major Arcana, do I have to also discard those separately? Like, out of the 6, should I still only have 1 Major Arcana?
No, it's once you've made your decision, then if you got like 4 Major Arcana, right? Like you would have some discards, obviously, after you return 2. But yeah, it kind of whoops! I just dealt you an additional 1. That was a mistake. Do not pay attention to that one.
Ah, excellent. Okay, so hold on. I need to pull up my...
Yes.
It's too bad we don't have like a corkboard with, a bunch of photos.
The red line. Yeah.
Thread, yeah, connecting them.
That's what it feels like sometimes.
Now, I might have to do something kind of wacky, gang. Because I managed to not get a single Cups card.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh-oh.
I know, but...
wacky it up.
Okay, so I'm going to discard 3, right? And then resolve with the 4 that I have. So this guy's a discard.
Yep.
And then, let's say... This guy's a discard. And... This guy's a discard. So...
Okay.
Was that the one I meant to draw? Well, it doesn't matter now. So here's what I thought, gang. I don't have a cup, but maybe one of you has a cup. And I have this guy, which will give us up to 1 minute to trade cards if we want.
Ooh, it says exactly 1 minute. I better start the stopwatch.
Can you only trade one card?
It just says exchange cards, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I can give you a small amount of cups.
I can give
Trade
you a
cards
shitload of
or
cups,
exchange hands.
but
now
I'm gonna
that-
give you 2 cards.
Now, how does it work to give someone else a card?
It
If you
says,
put
what
it
does it
down,
say?
I can right click and take it. So
Yeah, you can take
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
and it's just trading cards, so yeah.
Okay. So,
I can give you 2 cards. I can effectively give you a Queen of Cups.
Ooh.
That's exciting.
With
I put
The
down my little
Empress and
cuppies
the
that
Two
I
of
had for
Cups.
you. So
I don't see. Oh wait, there we go. Is it the? Okay.
yeah, I gave you the
Well,
stars.
how about this? I will give you the pentacles since you're brainy,
Okay. I'm into it.
and then Iskander. The wands, at least, are physique, and then the Ace of Swords is for social. That might be
Sure.
good for intimidation or something.
All right, that is 1 minute.
All right, and then, where is it? Okay. Or I guess I could have just, let's see. What does the Empress do? Just so I can feel. Okay. All right, so, ta-da!
Yeah.
So there's a Queen of Cups.
Nice.
There you go.
I got this guy back, and I don't think that I was meant to. Sorry. This is one of the ones that I discarded. Because I had a 7, so I discarded 3.
Okay.
All right, so it's a Queen of Cups, which brings me up to
Queen of Cups is good
19.
for... Yes. And then you had a Two of Cups as well.
I think
So that...
yes.
Uh-huh. So that is 21, and I had them at, what did I say? 14, right? So 21 is a 14. Okay, so that is a full success. Excellent. All right, well done.
Now, would it behoove me to get an even higher success in this instance, or am I
you would
kind of
have-
getting as much as I get?
In this instance, a high success wouldn't... Well, a high success could get you through to Madame Bondi, I suppose. But that would require 7 more points.
I only have 6, alas.
Do you have the 6 plus any other random card though?
You know, that's the thing though, is I played the Lovers, the
Mhm.
Empress and the Two of Cups for one play, and then this would be my 4th card.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I know, just shy.
Damn.
That's all right. I suppose I don't necessarily know that I'm looking for an audience with Madame Bondi. I think that if none of my companions can get access, my thought would be maybe to do something more like wait till she's not in her tent and rifle through her personal effects with some ultra stealth.
Sure thing.
Will not put Iskander in charge of the stealth part, though.
No.
That would be a bad decision. I mean, I'm kind of looking down at Grant as I imagine he may be eyeing me sidelong, like, or we could just, like, you know, do this the easy way, get rid of this flesh ball.
Oh my God. Except Grant is
Walk right
Grant is
in.
strolling the boulevards right
I am
now,
strolling the
so-
boulevard right at the moment.
Shit, he's not there. That's right. I'm having
Yeah.
visions of Grant.
But
Dancing
I am
in my
here.
head. There you go. You're just
What in my top labor case?
just eating your Kemmerspeck over there. Fine. Just disregard me. Well, I think that in Iskander's mind, you're not as like wantonly violent as Grant is. He's the one like just
dude in the heart and then
Yeah.
whispered sweet nothings into his soul.
He's
That
like
seemed-
What does the guy have to do to earn a reputation as this
right.
killer?
that seemed warranted, and it was classy.
Yeah, it
Grant
was.
just
You're like
blowing nuggets
sophisticated.
off.
Exactly. You're very like you're the finesse like part of the murder hobo tribe, and then
Oh my God.
I'm just like wanton destruction.
Mm.
Yeah, it's like rogue and barbarian. Like they're
That's
you
right.
know.
Yeah, we're a little different.
And then you're the bard, but like
Yeah,
death
I'm the
bard.
bard.
Death bar.
We are a force of good.
Let
Yeah.
us through.
Let us through. We will not make you regret it. All right. Cool.
So all I can
So
get is a full success, but a full success nonetheless.
that is fine. All right. So they say, well, very well. We were only told to prevent you from meeting with Madame Bondi. As long as you leave her be, we could certainly use as much help as we can get.
I understand. I know I've taken enough time of hers already, and I know it's just such an emotional time for us all. I'm sure she just doesn't have the energy.
Mm.
Deflect like mad.
Yeah. So
I do
he kind of
have a
smiles in spite of himself, you know, and they part ways. Yes. Question.
So as this is happening, I'm using my
Mhm.
advanced perception
Mhm.
to look around. I feel like if someone was like pretending to be a Bernadette and they just happened to be doing that still, they wouldn't know that I know them. So I don't know that they'd be hiding very well from me anyway, but I'm scanning because I know exactly what Bernadette looks like. So I just want to
Yeah.
see if I spot anyone that might catch my eye in that way.
Sure. Yeah, so you all walk onto the grounds of the encampment. No sign of any Bernadettes. It's mostly like just farmers' wives, and fairies. And you know, which is primarily brownies. Although Breksta, now that you kind of know what's what, you do spot some Teus among the crowd here and there. You know. Maybe like 1 in 5 are Teus as opposed to brownies.
Now, how is it that they truly do look a bit different, or do they just
Yeah, they
feel
they look
different?
they look a little different. Yeah, it's slight, but you know it's noticeable once you're kind of aware of it.
Does it seem then that Danielle Bundy could have been to use and just hiding it, like melding things out to look slightly browny?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Absolutely. All right, so you're on the grounds. What would you like to do?
Is this the kind of place that's going to have, like, I don't know, like communal supper kind of a thing?
Definitely, absolutely. Little tins and a soup pot with a ladle.
What are the odds that Madame Bondi would maybe make an appearance to, like, rally the troops and, you know, keep everyone's spirits up kind of a thing?
Definitely good odds, I'd say.
I'm trying to gauge, like, the level of difficulty to perhaps sneak back to her personal tent and ethereal my way in to sneak around.
No problem. So yeah, indeed, as you are making your way onto the grounds, the dinner bell is sounded, and you can see that there's a big long banquet table that's been set up, where people can queue up. They have multiple tureens of soup, and they're serving it up. And as people begin to congregate, you actually do see Madame Bondi in amongst them.
She's still wearing her gloves.
Yes.
Okay.
I imagine she'll be wearing her gloves for some time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm going to try and communicate as quietly as possible, or perhaps I already did, to my compatriots that if they want to poke around and perhaps be, I suppose, conspicuous without being too conspicuous, that I would like to take the opportunity to go peek back in her private area. I mean, her tent.
Hey, now, it's not that kind of game.
She's distracted by the stew. Peek at her private.
But, certainly if any of them wanted to, talk to her and keep her occupied, she is out and about then.
I can do that.
and-
I think Frederick can help with that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I could, if we want to divide and conquer, ask around the camp for their stories of the day it happened or whatever to see how they describe what they saw on the stage.
Nice. How about Iskander? Anything in particular? Or are you getting some soup?
Let's see. So Breksta's going off while Madame Bouvier, I don't remember her name, sorry, is making an appearance to rally the troops. Frederick's going to talk to her to engage her to keep her there. Astrid's going to canvass the crowd to question the witnesses. I think I would probably question the witnesses as well, see if anyone saw the. I don't know if we necessarily do that together. We could probably cover more ground separate. So
You should talk to the muscly boys since they're you might be able to bro them or whatever.
Yeah.
Are they all standing around flexing for each other right now?
Oh,
Right.
yeah. Oh, it's like Full Metal Alchemist.
I was gonna say just have a full-on FMA flex off and a bro down. I have some of my oil from my pancreation classes.
Oh, there you go.
Give them a demo.
Oil up.
Give them a demo, yeah.
That's right.
I know what you need to succeed.
Yeah, because I'm going more for the just using my charisma and innocent charm to be oh, I heard about this terrible thing. Tell me, what did you see? What happened? Oh my goodness, how horrible.
Okay, cool. All right, so we'll cover. So yeah, as Madame Bondi comes out into the crowd, people are, there's some applause, there's some cheers. There are many people coming up to her and checking on her, and she definitely looks fairly muted. She's still dealing with the fallout of this assassination. Obviously, I mean, it just happened yesterday. So, but she's kind of giving this wan smile and nodding, yes, thank you, and but it's clear that the people kind of are looking to her for some guidance and leadership, and so it's absolutely causing a distraction. And so Breksta, you are able to infiltrate back, since you know exactly where her little office area is. And I would say, I mean, you were thinking you're going to go ethereal.
I was thinking that might be, especially while I'm rifling around, the best way to kind of avoid notice. Or maybe I'll save it for escaping if, just a basic stealth will work.
Okay. Yeah,
I mean, I feel like since I have a distraction of, everyone's attention elsewhere, and I'm small, that might be adequate, especially if I can save my card for my etherealness, then that might be a little better if I have to make an escape.
Excellent. Yes. What is your stealth? Is it just average, or do you have it better?
It's actually good.
Oh yeah. No problem. No problem. So you were easily able to slip back to her back office, and you disappear behind the hanging sheet, and begin to rifle through her possessions. Mm-hmm. Okay. So meanwhile, Frederick, you were going to attempt to approach the Madame yourself.
Yes. So I'll wait for a point where maybe she isn't quite as surrounded. Mm-hmm. She gets a moment, away, and step forward to introduce myself.
Okay. So yeah, she's like kind of, just thank you, yes, thank you, okay, yes. And you were able to position yourself in a way that her path intercepts with yours. So she stops and she looks up at you, and she says, "Hello, I don't believe I've seen you around here before." And she's noting your, impeccable suit and manner. Perhaps with a bit of suspicion.
So, I will doff my top hat and bow, greet her, Madame Bondi, my condolences for your loss. Also, as whether it puts her at ease or not, Frederick, while he is impeccably dressed, also has certain things that are a little bit off and might register as perhaps, influenced by the Fae, certain, I think maybe for today he has small rodent skulls for cufflinks. Mm-hmm. But introduce myself as Frederick Haas, a diplomat of the Austrian embassy.
So she notes those small details. You see her eyes sort of flitting between those little touches, and it does seem to put her at ease somewhat. And she says, "The Austrian embassy? Well, what brings you here, sir?"
Well, I'm afraid I'm here on an unofficial capacity, but I must admit I am quite interested and captivated by your situation. Of course, horrified by the recent events that unfolded. Again, my condolences. But I was hoping that perhaps you and I could have a conversation and speak more about your current plight. While I am not highly ranked within the embassy, perhaps I could bend an ear or two and see if some light can be shed on your situation.
Of course. Why don't we talk over supper?
Oh, yes, that would be wonderful. Very briefly, is there a something that's currently troubling you about what's going on? We at the embassy are always looking for ways to reach out to our allies.
Well, I mean, this is just a very tough situation. Our protests have been drawing much attention, but we've been making very little progress with the local authorities.
I see. And what authorities are these, and what are their reactions to the situation?
Guarded at best. They seem to just think this is business dispute, which I suppose it is, but it's far more than that to us here. We're very, very concerned about the expansion of the margarine industry into this region of France. And so she kind of begins to get into a little bit of a spiel, about, everything that, you're already aware of in terms of, like, brownies being put out of work and so on and so forth, and dairy farmers being impacted, et cetera, et cetera. And she gets a little bit of her passion back as she's speaking,
As she does this, I'll try to guide the conversation towards one of these communal meal areas, and ladle out a couple of bowls of this stew for us to have while we're talking.
Okay.
No reason to delay a good conversation if it's happening at the moment.
All right. So she's definitely taking a liking to you. You're working your old skill set. And she says, well, perhaps, I know you said you were here in an unofficial capacity, but perhaps you could utilize some of your diplomatic pull with the mayor or some other officials, perhaps?
And what is it you would have me request?
Well, just recognition of our grievances. We need trade protections against these margarine manufacturers.
Margarine manufacturers. What do you know of Monsieur Hoog?
He is a terrible man. He does not care about any of the damage his factory may do to the local industries. He's just out to make a quick franc.
And I hate to pry, and please, if I'm overstepping, my apologies, but do you think he may have been involved with the recent tragedy that occurred?
It's entirely possible, sir. Entirely possible. These people want us dead.
Can I use my perception skill to try to determine if she's being truthful about certain things or being cagey?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so I have a great perception skill.
Excellent.
And let's see. So, am I modifying? Is that a mental, intellectual,
I would
social?
Say, well, I'd say, what exactly are you trying? Well, let's see here. What is perception normally? Perception is normally pentacles, which is mental and intellectual. We'll go with that. She also has, it would be opposed by her perception skill or ability, so she has it at great as well. So we will have to play some cards here.
Okay. Pentacles, you say.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so yeah, I'm trying to determine, during the course of these conversations, how genuine she is. Is she being truthful about that her only grievance is this margarine? Is she being truthful about her intentions, with requesting help from the mayor and all that, or does it seem like this is her acting the part of something? And I don't have any pentacles. So
cool,
that's a good.
Cool.
That's good.
You're off to a great start.
So, since I didn't play it last session,
oh yeah,
throwing down justice.
Yeah.
So justice is says here the universe itself seems to be judging the dramatic character, perhaps based on past actions. I must draw a card from the fortune deck. If I draw cups or pentacles, I achieve a high success. If I draw swords or wands, I fumble. All or nothing.
All right. Do it.
Hell yeah.
Do it.
All right. So do I draw, or do you have to place it in my hand, right?
No. I mean, if you want me to just throw it down on the table, I can certainly do that.
Okay, let me just look at this real quick again. What do I not want? I don't want swords and wands. Okay, yeah, throw it down on the table.
All right, I'm going to give the deck a shuffle here just to be completely,
Oh yeah.
completely fair. And I pull the card, throw it down. What is that? That is wands.
Wands.
So that is a fumble.
That would be a fumble. Okay.
So what am I convinced of? GM.
Oh, great host. All right. Well, you are not only convinced of the earnestness of her belief system, but she actually begins to turn you around on her cause. Like, she's absolutely right. Modern industry is trying to destroy centuries old way of life amongst the working class and the proletarian fairy population. So basically, she starts radicalizing you.
So I basically went into like the Scientology on like a gag, like just to yeah, this would be good for a laugh, and I came out like fully like with the Dianetics like all stacked up to my chin, like
or like you went in to interview Lenin for a magazine feature and came out like a full blown communist.
Okay, so that backfired spectacularly. All right.
All right. Meanwhile, so Iskander and Astrid are circulating amongst the groups of folk. So Iskander, you're talking to the hired muscle. Now they're there, but they because they're security, but they also do believe in the cause, and so they're pretty agitated, and they're pretty frustrated, and you can tell that like they're ready to start throwing down, like they're ready to start some street battles, at the merest sign from Madame Bondi after this assassination. All of them think it's the police who are behind it, and they're ready. They're ready to start some shit. Basically.
By the way, as I'm becoming more and more convinced that she's absolutely right, and that this is her cause is just, and this is clearly happening, I will let her in on a little secret that the police have been mesmerized.
Oh Lord, this is not going to help.
And we're actually hypnotically suggested by this Dr. Ozan to become more violent. Not only that, but the prefect himself actually is kind of under the influence too, so she might want to know that.
She's most grateful for this information.
Just chunking the Goonies over here, man. Just telling them everything. Oh man, that is awesome.
Yeah. That's
the
fumble.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, play by the rules.
Sorry,
if
guys.
You're gonna fucking fumble, and that is no man. So much love and respect. That's how you play it, dude.
It really is. Really is. That's hard mode role playing, dude.
Yeah.
Real.
I feel bad, but
no, sir.
No, wrong feeling.
That's what you do.
Wrong feeling. Your feelings are wrong.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mad love.
And meanwhile, Astrid, you're circulating more amongst the farmers and the some of the brownies, and they're equally agitated. They're maybe not quite as willing to take it to violence town just yet, but they're feeling very frustrated, and they, a lot of them are feeling like ignored, and they want like some more kind of like support and solidarity from some of the other working class of Paris, and maybe even like beyond. Like there's some talk about like we could turn this into a nationwide movement, a worldwide movement, Yeah.
I'm definitely like, as they talk through their frustration, which I'm assuming would also be like about this assassination as well, because obviously people are working against them. I want to see if I notice any details that may help us link this even more. Like, does anyone mention anything, in Miss Bondi's hand or anything like that? Just keeping my ear out for details.
Sure. So you definitely hear corroboration of Bondi's story, which was that There were some agitators in the crowd who had, who were bringing in rotten fruit and vegetables, no doubt getting ready to start throwing it at the stage. It was already causing a bit of a foofara in the crowd. And then some of the ones you talked to who were nearer to the stage, can corroborate. Yeah, Michelle was starting to move towards the edge of the stage, clearly intending to intervene, and then that's when the shot rang out. Beyond that, we might need somewhat better outcomes. So, how's your charisma? Or social grace? Well, no, social grace is more for upper class. So yeah, charisma.
Yeah, my charisma's good.
Your charisma is good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I think to find this needle in the haystack, we're going to need an exceptional success of someone who might have been a more direct witness. So you need 4 points on that, and this is a cups test.
Mm-hmm. All right. I don't have any cups. And one of the cards that I have is a major arcana, so I can't spend it as a onesie. So I will chuck it, even though I've been saving it.
Oh.
It's okay. They're on.
All right.
So that I can get a new hand, and hopefully we'll get some cuppy doodahs.
Get some cuppadoodles. Okay. Recall those, shuffle, and deal. Okay. There you go.
It's hot and sour wonton cuppadoodles.
Speaking of cards, I definitely want a chance to talk to these guys when, after Astrid's done.
This is
if
my
it's in
scene.
the cards.
Get out. Go over there. Mute yourself.
Delete your account. Log off.
Sorry, Judith.
All right. What do you got?
I do have some major arcana, so I'm just going to double check if,
okay.
if these are helpful.
Mm-hmm.
It's doubtful, but let's see. Mm-hmm. Nope. Still not helpful. It could have been, but I don't have that card either. Okay, let's look at this other one. I got it.
The suspense is killing me.
All right, this is what I'm going to do. Okay. I am going to play the moon.
Okay.
I'm not going to put it down just because I don't know how to do that. But I have a card I'm thinking of in my remaining cards.
Mm-hmm.
If you can guess the suit, I fail. I'm just going to fail. But if you're wrong, I succeed automatically.
Damn.
Whoa.
That's dope.
So what suit am I thinking
so much gambling on one of our only leads.
I know, right?
And they're both like 50,
favorite
50.
card.
I know, yeah.
Yes. The moon is awesome.
All right. Let me do the whatever, I guess that you are holding a swords in your hand.
I was thinking of Lewans.
Damn it!
Oh, very
mine.
close.
Suck it, Trebek.
I believe that was Johnny Curson.
Yeah, exactly.
But
wow.
and then
okay.
I'm going to discard that one because it was my extra major arcana.
Oh, sure,
I don't want to
sure.
be cheapy.
Okay.
So.
All right. Recall that as well. Wow, good job. Okay, so you succeed automatically.
Yes.
Goodness. Okay, so that means that. Wait, what does that mean? What were you trying to do? Oh, you were trying to find somebody who had a direct eyewitness testimony.
Yeah, more detail about what was seen.
All right. So yeah, you eventually do find a hayseed, dairy farmer who was like, I've seen it, which is to say I saw it. Just happened to be looking straight at Madame Bondi when the shot rang out. Now, the curious thing about that is she was in the middle of her speech, and I says to myself, Cedric, I say, I don't know if that's a French name, but whatever. I say to myself, now that's most curious that Madame Bondi, right in the middle of that speech, is holding in her hand a pocket mirror. Why would you need a pocket mirror to give a speech, says I to myself, but then the shot rang out, and that poor little brownie feller got felled.
Oh, yes, that's very sad. But no, that's a very interesting thing to have noticed as well. You're quite a smart man, I can tell, Cedric.
Oh, well, thank you very much indeed, ma'am. Forgive my forwardness, but you wouldn't happen to be married, would you?
I am not.
Well, it's just my brother, you see. He's recently widowed, and we could always use a strong lass such as yourself around the farm. If you ever were interested in such a thing, as the ears start glowing coal red.
Honestly, I think it sounds like a lovely retirement. I do have some work left to do here in the city, but I know where to look for you, Cedric, if I'm at that stage.
Oh, of course, ma'am. Forgive my forwardness.
Is he like pulling out his
You're
hat?
quite sharp.
Yeah. Oh.
This dude's from where I'm from.
He's from Indiana, France.
He really is.
Pennsylvania Valley.
That's correct. That's where I'm from.
All right. So Breksta, how about you? What are you up to? You've had some time to go through Bondi's effects.
Well, considering I have turned up exactly and only exactly what I have turned up, I suppose it's time to cheese it. That being said, I do think that there must be some way to spook her, or perhaps one of her close followers. I do think that painting, it's too uncanny. I feel like someone must have seen it and been inspired by it, and I feel like seeking someone out, perhaps not Bondi because she's on high alert for me, but if there's someone in particular who looked familiar from the last time I came, someone who was in her tent, maybe close to the vest, as it were, that I could sidle up to and, dab my eyes and,
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The most shocking thing happened,
Okay. All right. So, they nodded. Oh, yes, absolutely. It's been a tough 24 hours, to be sure.
I must admit, the most shocking thing happened. I went to the Louvre to calm my nerves. I love art, you see, and the beauty really does the heart good, I think. I saw the most devastating painting. Why, it seemed the very visage of what I heard depicted yesterday morning. Terrible painting. Perhaps you've heard of it. It's called The Fairy Feller.
I can't say I have. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't often get down to Paris, and I've certainly never gone to the museums.
Who is this person that I'm talking to who's also from Indiana?
These are all, dairy farmers around the country that have descended upon the city, so...
That's right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Don't hate my people.
Don't hate. Participate.
Surprised, right. I suppose. I guess maybe Michelle is the only other one who seemed kind of like, of the city. And he's dead now.
Yeah, well.
Well, the most shocking thing seems that this event was perhaps foretold.
So are you saying this loud enough for Bondi to maybe overhear you?
Oh, probably. I know that I'm not supposed to go up to her. It doesn't mean that she can't come over to me. And I've been hanging out with Sarah Bernhardt, so I feel like my ability to turn up those waterworks is
absolutely, yeah,
improving.
And so, and you can
definitely.
You can definitely see, Madame Bondi nearby, right? I mean, that was your
I
intention.
probably start quavering and I'm so sorry. I was so disturbed. I wasn't there yesterday, but I felt as though I were standing in front of this painting. I was transfixed. It was the most awful thing. Perhaps, bring out my little kerchief and,
Right.
made of spider webs lace or something.
So Bondi's in the middle of talking to Frederick. She's getting really fired up now because she's asking you all these details, right, about this mesmerist and what's been going on. And so she is on the verge of jumping up on the table and launching into an impassioned speech. So let's do a quick dramatic feat and see if maybe Breksta can distract her long enough to prevent her from doing that.
Could performance work?
Absolutely.
So the fun thing is, I have an average performance.
Uh-huh.
But I've also got this guy, which says now it's a great performance.
Oh.
And
oh my goodness.
What would I need? I mean, is that a good enough success, or should
I mean, if you want to push it as high as you want, it's a cups. So I don't know if you have any of that.
How much would I need for cups?
Oh, I think you're standing nearby, so there's really not. It's not that difficult of a task. So I'd say you're already at a full success, and if you buy it up by 4 more points, you would be at a high success.
6 of cups.
There it is.
I was like, please don't tell me it's 7 again.
That's right, you had the 6. All right. Cool. So Frederick, you're like, yeah. Oh yeah, those guys are bastards or whatever. By the way, I love that you've been taken in by fairies yet again. Obviously
totally has an MO.
Yeah, you have this constitutional weakness or something,
Yeah, it's totally his blind spot. He's ready. He's like, I got these documents on Hoog that I think you'll be interested in.
You're just completely selling everybody else out.
So, perhaps what's happening, right, since this guy doesn't seem to care as much, is I've kind of built up my tears, and maybe I'm grabbing the hand of the person next to him and kind of drawing in a small circle of people who are kind of listening to me as I'm really vividly describing, getting a little louder, a little more hysterical. I'm so sorry, it was just so awful. And maybe people are kind of offering their kerchief, patting me on the back, kind of making a scene, a hot mess all over this communal supper.
Yeah, you're salting the soup with your tears.
Yes.
All right, good. So she's getting all fired up again, and then she hears Breksta's voice, and it just snaps her right out of it. And
that's not suspicious at all.
And she looks around, and she says, "Who let her in here? I specifically said you were banned from these grounds." And she begins coming over towards you.
I wonder if I've kind of managed to whirl myself up into enough of a little teary frenzy that I don't necessarily hear her yet. I'm still kind of engrossing my own small audience.
Yeah.
Right now, of course, other people are starting to become more invested.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is definitely loud enough. It's pulling, everybody's, Iskander, Astrid, you're hearing this, So it's a scene. It is a scene, is what it is. So she's kind of stalking over towards you, and she says, I specifically said not to let her on these grounds. What are you doing here? Why are you making such a scene?
Oh, madame, it's so, well, I know circumstances are so terrible these days, but it is good to see you. I came with some of my friends. We're such fervent supporters of your cause. I told them about your struggle, and they asked me to bring them here. And certainly, I think every person on the ground really matters at this stage, don't you think? I mean, isn't this a community investment? Aren't you looking for everyone's support at this crucial time?
So she says, you or that cat you were with went rifling through my stove.
I beg your pardon. I have no idea what you're speaking of.
I know it. There was something in that stove, and then it was taken.
Well, madame, are you suggesting that you are hiding things in your stove?
Not in the least.
I don't understand then why you'd think I would have any interest in your stove.
Well, I just mean to say that you came into my office and you started going through my personal effects. I don't appreciate it in the least.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I am distressed, certainly, and I know I was flustered. I apologize if my clumsiness was embarrassing to you. Certainly, sniff, sniff. I was embarrassed enough as it was. I thought that you were empathetic.
All right, so she looks a little embarrassed of herself, and she says, well, never mind then. Just don't let me see you around here anymore. You are no longer welcome on these grounds. You are a hindrance to our movement. A hindrance, I say. And she begins to storm back off towards the warehouse.
I wonder if this is a moment kind of like calling after her loudly as possible, describing this painting and it's like full glory, like, oh, I couldn't help it. I was so distraught. I thought seeking the company of my fellows would help ease the pain. I saw the most terrible painting. Richard Dodd, of course. Oh, you've heard of him. Oh, you over there. Oh, of course you have. It's called The Fairy Filler. Why, I feel like I was transported to yesterday morning's very events. It was depicted so plainly. Just, turn on those waterworks a little more. Like, I'm so upset by this. I can only imagine what it was like yesterday, being there for the real thing in the flesh.
So she stops, like, comes to a full stop and turns around, like, signals to some of her goons. She's like, get her out of here! Out!
Now is when I'd like to wink.
Ooh, shit!
The cherry on top. Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Adoit. Ace of Wands for my average etherealness.
Ooh. You gonna ethereal out of there?
I think what might be really fantastically dramatic, if I can make it work, is like I'm like, weeping and maybe sort of like I'm a little water fairy. Like, can I dissolve into like a little puddle of water and then just wink out?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Love it.
Phenomenal. As dramatic as possible. Like I'm just so overcome by my emotions. I'm weeping and I just collapse into this little puddle of water that immediately becomes no more.
All
then I cheese it.
Indeed. All right. Well, I think that is as good a place to leave off as any. That was quite a scene, and we haven't even had the meeting with Hoog yet, and follow up with Bernadette, and then possible anti-fairy glamour goggles as well. So I keep thinking that each session is like, oh, we'll wrap this one up tonight. Nope.
Right. Yeah, you said part 3 of 3 2 sessions ago.
Yeah.
But part of me is like, oh no, what am I missing? I feel like this should have been so simple to resolve then. Like, what's the...
We cause trouble and chaos.
That's right. Capers galore. No, I get it. You're just dotting your I's and crossing your T's, making sure you have a good idea of who the real culprit is. You've got a good suspect list going. You've got your clues. So yeah, I think it really is just left to narrowing it down, and figuring out that it was Colonel Mustard in the library with the candlestick kind of thing.
You mean with the hand mirror?
That's right.
Perhaps.
Look, we all know it was the butler, and there's only one flesh butler that's been around.
Oh. It's always the one you least suspect.
That is correct.
Potterfield all along. Potterfield the sniper.
Yep. So sneaks.
All right, cool. Well, we will reconvene next week, and I will be prepared to roll on into the next story should we wrap things up early next week, because I feel like you guys are circling around the true culprit here, and once you've had a chance to kind of get through the remainder of your to-do list, I think you'll have a good idea of who it could be.
You underestimate us, sir.
That's true, actually. Yeah.
Overestimate us?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Flash forward to July of 2021. Okay, so I think next session we should get this one wrapped up.
Part 12 of 3.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so
At
you.
that point, we've like stolen the painting from the Louvre.
We've traveled all the way to Brittany.
Traveled to Brittany,
yeah.
By airship.
Paris
to
is
talk
half
to
of
Richard
half
Dunn.
half of Paris has been burned down.
I'm super rich and manufacturing guns.
Yeah. Frederick is like the proletarian leader of a populist uprising in France.
He has an eye patch and like a. Like, how'd that happen?
Reverted
It's
back
all-
to his
Only
like
glamour
airship
clothing.
pirate roots.
That's right. Hey, you know where to find an airship pirate ship. So
That's right.
Yeah.
Time to
Yeah.
collect.
Armed with ornithopter drone minigun wielding drones. Dominating the skies.
Lordy Lord. All right, y'all. Good session.
Yeah.
Those
As
awesome.
always.
Thank you.
Crazy.
Whew. That was
And
intense.
yeah, we'll do it again next week.
See you guys next week.
All right.
All righty.
Yep.
All right.
See you guys
Bye,
later.
everyone.
Bye.